Doesn't Carol grill?
I grill.
Doesn't Michael grill?
No, I grill.
Huh?
Yeah, Michael grills too, but I grill. I like to grill.
I don't grill.
I
eat.
Let's make a distinction here. It's not cooking, it's grilling.
Okay.
It's different.
All right.
It's different, and it's easier. It's a lot easier. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, LeBron gets paid, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are all-stars, and Taylor Twellman joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the two hottest hitters in baseball, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. Both hit home runs last night. It was Judge's 32nd leading the majors and Ohtani's 27th, second in the majors. Ohtani's batting .320 with 64 RBI and an OPS of 1.048. Judge is batting .321 with 83 RBI and an OPS of 1.158. Wilbon, if Ohtani is having a great year, and he is, what is Judge having?
A better year. A better year. 20 more runs batted in alone. See, I don't want to hear about newfangled stuff and these idiots that tell you runs batted in don't matter. I don't want to hear that. If you bat in a run and the other guy doesn't, you win. So these morons, I don't want to hear that. That stat alone puts him there, Tony. You know, Ohtani's having a great year. And by the way, we're talking about at the plate. Because if we're talking about overall, Judge is also in the field where he's an underrated fielder, and Ohtani's not in the field because he's DH and because of the injury. I get if Ohtani comes back and he pitches and he resumes his role that nobody's ever had, then it might be Ohtani. But right now, it's Judge. Yep. And they're both, you know, at the top, sort of, in their leagues. The Dodgers are a little bit behind Philly. And the Yankees are right on the heels of Cleveland and Baltimore. So there's no real difference there. We're talking head-to-head competition at the plate. Judge having a better season.
He's in pain. A lot of guys pack it in, Mike. They say, Skip, I'm done for the night. He comes back out in the 5th, he hits a single. He comes back out in the 7th, and he hits a home run. So a lot of credit there. But to answer the question, if Ohtani's having a great year, what is Judge having? And it is, you're right, it's a better year. There are some numbers here that you will like because they're not analytics. It's the last 51 games the Judge has played prior to last night.
Like this.
51 games, 25 home runs, 64 RBI, and an OPS of 1.429. If the season ends today, Judge is going to win the Triple Crown and Ohtani won't. Ohtani's on pace for 51 homers, which is great. Judge is on pace for 60, which to you and I is still the magic number.
Yeah.
Okay? Ruth had 60. Not the most on the Yankees because Maris had 61 and Judge 2 years ago 62. Had 62. And I will say this, Mike. If you look at the historical context of baseball, it's wonderful that Judge is hitting these home runs as a Yankee because the Yankees essentially invented the home run. Whereas when I think of the Dodgers, I think of pitching more than I think of home runs. Yeah.
But Ohtani is great. Tony, as you know, I went to see Ohtani in person this year.
So did I in Washington.
And he's just bigger and stronger, and he hits them further than you think. When you see him, he's an awesome specimen on all levels, and he's having a great year. Judge, let's move to the NBA, where LeBron is officially back with the Lakers. Ho-hum. He agreed to a 2-year deal worth $104 million with the option of opting out before next season, the second season, excuse me. He'd reportedly been willing to take less if it meant adding an impact player, but the Lakers haven't landed one and don't appear to be in line for one. Tony, what does this deal say to you about LeBron and the state of the Lakers?
It says to me that LeBron is the Lakers. Anthony Davis doesn't really matter. Jeannie Buss doesn't really matter. Rob Pelinka doesn't really matter.
Jeannie Buss matters.
No. They're like small stars orbiting around LeBron James.
Yeah.
LeBron James gets everything he wants, and the reason is simple. Because as mediocre as the Lakers have been over the last 12 years, I believe, Mike, they only finished higher than 7th in the Western Conference once in 12 years. As mediocre as they have been, LeBron James is a reason to go through the turnstiles. He is. He's a huge star, and that's why he gets everything he wants. That's why he got the coach he wanted in J.J. Redick, and that's why they drafted his son, Bronny. Because you cannot tell me that they would have drafted Bronny James if LeBron James was not on that team. I struggle to think of someone more important in North American sports to one team than LeBron James is. I think Lionel Messi might be in Inter Miami. I think Caitlin Clark might be equal to this in Indiana. But I can't. People said to me today, well, what about Patrick Mahomes? I said, I don't think so. LeBron James is still the most important, recognizable player in the NBA.
And yet, and I'm going to agree with you, and yet, they're not going to win. This means nothing to winning. It doesn't, Tony. Because let me go to the glasses, as you would say. Anthony Davis and LeBron played 147 of 164 possible games last year. They played in 90% of the Lakers' games. They were second and third team all NBA. They played at a high level 90% of the time, and they finished where? They barely avoided the play-in. So are they going to finish, because LeBron is re-signed, are they going to finish ahead of Dallas, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, or Denver? No. Even New Orleans, Sac, Phoenix, maybe not. Clippers, okay. Golden State, I like what Golden State's done the last few days. And by the way, Houston and San Antonio are coming. They're going to get better. I'll take Houston above the Lakers right now if we're going to play a game about what happens a year from now. If Dalton Connect, their prize rookie, if he comes in and he's the third best, top three rookie, if you just stretch out everything and max out all the scenarios, the Lakers get to what, maybe fifth? If they get DeMar DeRozan, but they can't. It doesn't appear DeMar DeRozan is in line for them because of the second apron and other financial consequences. What can the Lakers do if all those things happen? Finish fifth, fourth? And that's a stretch. So, Tony, it's great to see LeBron James, but it would be great to see him in any uniform. Wherever LeBron James plays, it would be great to see him. So does it make a difference? And no fan base is as unreasonably over-expectant as the Lakers, not even the Cowboys. The Laker nation is past the Cowboys and just being sort of, like unreasonable. So I don't know what it actually means to competition.
The votes are in for the WNBA All-Star Game, and it should not come as a surprise that Caitlin Clark got the most, around 700,000. Next was her teammate Aaliyah Boston with about 618,000. Next was Asia Wilson, the current MVP, with 607,000. Then Breanna Stewart, and then another splashy rookie, Angel Reese, with 381,000. Wilbon, what did the selection of rookies Clark and Reese and the overall vote numbers say to you about this season in the WNBA?
Nothing new. Nothing new. We know what all-star votes are like. We know that from baseball. We know that from basketball. We know that from everything. All-star votes are with the people who are the most passionate in the moment, get to fill out 100 ballots and cast them, and the votes are skewed based on nothing but popularity, like likes on social media, which I know you're not even familiar with because you're not on social media. So Asia Wilson's the best player in the WNBA by far. I don't care how many votes Caitlin Clark gets or anybody else. Asia Wilson, she's the goods in that league, period. Maybe having the greatest season anybody's ever had in that league. So let me get that out the way. Now, I love that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are going at it all year as rookies and rookie of the year. I got a horse in that race because I'm from Chicago, and I like watching Angel Reese every damn game. She had 19 rebounds. Was that last night? Love watching her. And by the way, I don't need for them to get along and have a kumbaya moment. Sports, and we're talking about the history, we're talking about context, male sports are about embracing the hate, embracing rivalry, embracing sometimes petty stuff. Bird and Magic showed us the way, and then at some point, organically, not artificially, you get to a point where these people respect, if not love each other, and that's good then. Right now, I want to see that. That's what I want to see, and that's what this is about at this point.
I'm going in a totally different direction. This thing says one thing to me. It says, and it talks about Caitlin Clark and her particular charisma at the moment. Okay, because let's be fair, and I'm going over the belt because you went all the way to the belt.
Yep.
Let's understand something. If this was based on merit, there's no way she's going to get the most votes. She's having a pretty good season, an improving season.
Better. Yeah.
But she's not the best player. Asia Wilson is the best player. Breanna Stewart is the second best player. Aaliyah Boston wouldn't have gotten anywhere near this amount of votes if she wasn't on the same television screen as Caitlin Clark on these nationally televised games. Okay, so she got 700,000 votes, right? Because she is the rising tide that's floating all the boats. 700,000. Last year, you know who had the most? They're saying ding in my ear. No, I'm not. Last year, Asia Wilson had the most votes. She had 95,000 votes. That's 1/7 of Caitlin Clark. It's 1/6 of her this year. Caitlin Clark is putting eyeballs on the WNBA, and they ought to put a statue up for her, and they ought to put her in the Olympics. And it's as simple as that. Get me out of here.
We'll disagree on the Olympics.
I got to see prompter. Let's take a break. Coming up, is Greg Berhalter really to blame for the United States men's team sorry showing at Copa America? We'll ask Taylor Twellman.
We'll also ask him whether the talent of the so-called golden generation of players has been oversold.
Angel Reese gets all. Copa America resumes without the United States men tomorrow. To discuss where the U.S. team goes from here, we welcome in our good friend, the lead analyst on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, Mr. Taylor Twellman, who drew the short straw today, Wilbon, because he was on my podcast this morning and now has to talk to me twice.
2 a days with you. Oh, my God.
Yeah, let's start with this, Taylor.
Brutal.
A lot of people are calling for the firing of head coach Greg Berhalter. Does that seem fair to you?
Yes, because if there's no accountability, then what message are you sending to your fans? What message are you sending to your players? And even worse, what message are you sending to the sponsors? If you're going to reward Greg Berhalter or whoever the coach may be for just getting out of the group of the World Cup, which is what they did by giving him a second tenure, then what are you going to do if you don't get out of the easiest group, arguably, at Copa America with Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay in your group? So Tony and Mike, absolutely 100%. It's fair. This is the professional game. But more importantly, the World Cup is in your backyard in 18 months. If you send the message that, we're okay with this, then why should anyone get up for 2026?
All right, so if Berhalter, let's spin this forward, is dismissed, relieved, people are already calling for some very large names, as you know, Taylor,
Big
like
names.
Klopp, Guardiola, Mourinho. Do you see any of that happening? I don't know that we spend that much money, but do you see any of that happening? And if not, who would be a suggestion that you might want to advance?
That's the real question, isn't it? Because, Michael, as Americans, we always sit here and say, go big or go home, right? And the 3 names that you just said, inarguably, are the names. Jurgen Klopp's in Spain. He just left Liverpool. I don't know if he wants to take this project right now, but maybe he does in 2 or 3 months. Guardiola has hinted that he is going to be done with Man City sooner rather than later. He's always in the United States of America in the summer. So is Jose Mourinho. I don't think those 3 names are coming because I don't think U.S. Soccer and the Federation want to pay the number to get them. Now, in saying that, I think you're in the same area that I'm talking about. I think the United States men need foreign eyes, raw eyes, a raw set of mind and eyes and thoughts to say, this is the group of players that are playing. This is how I see this happening, and not anyone that's been in the system for a while. I think some freshness would really do this group well, but I think it has to be a big personality. Michael, this is the so-called golden generation that everyone has deemed it. If it is, the bigger the personality, the more attention they'll take away from the players with all the pressure playing in their backyard. I wish it was one of those 3. I just don't see it happening.
I'm glad you mentioned golden generation because Tony and I talked about this yesterday, having actually, while we are not experts on any level, we've been around it for a long time, for decades, and golden generation is what we're supposed to have right now. We know we have so many more terrific players than we ever had, Taylor, but is the talent of the golden generation overstated?
Talent? No. Personality, profile, and the completeness of the player? I think it is. And here's why I say that. Listen, the American player has progressed at an exponential level versus when I played versus anyone from the 1994-1990 World Cup. That is not even debatable. But that, in saying that, we're also assuming that the rest of the world has been stagnant. Well, no, they haven't. They've grown as well. So while the American player may have grown better, faster, whatever word you want to use, the fact is the rest of the world has as well. So when we talk about these European players playing in Europe, Michael, how many of them are big personalities on the team, are leaders, are held accountable, to go back to your first question, for the results on the field? a lot of these guys aren't playing in a system where they are the leader. They are the face. They're more the complementary player, the complementary piece. They're getting great experience playing in life or death situations in the club level. I get all of that. But when they come to the national team, they are way too comfortable. And I'm telling you right now, the proof is in the pudding. They don't have a signature win yet. That's not my opinion. That is a fact. So to answer your question, as of right now, I'd argue they've been oversold a bit.
So let me go to that point, that they don't have a signature win. Somehow, there are these rankings that come out. And somehow, we were ranked, the United States, 11th in the world, above all the three teams that we played in the group stage, two of whom we lost to, only managing one aggregate goal. So how valid are these rankings?
It's a hard one, Tony. And you and I, honestly, we did almost an entire podcast about this because I think it's important for the American sports fan to understand. The rankings are valid to a certain level when it comes to seeding in big tournaments, to analyzing where the rest of the world is and trying to bring them into one pool. But there's a lot of flaws within the rankings because certain tournaments mean more. So the United States and Mexico will play in the CONCACAF Nations League. That's easier than the European Nations League for a fact. So when you look at that, well, their wins are going to be weighed higher. The fact that is right now, Colombia, Uruguay, Germany, Switzerland are all behind the United States. If they played right now, all four are favored against the United States. The issue is this, if you're going to use the rankings. Greg Berhalter's gone up against top 20 teams, not named Mexico, and hasn't won in 11 games. They've scored 7 goals in those 11 games, not named Mexico. That in and of itself is not good enough.
So really good to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Taylor. Thank you.
And all of it, Taylor. Thank you.
When do I get the shortest straw, Mike? And then I do your podcast.
Oh, as soon as I get one, which will be like, I don't know, 2047.
He's not allowed to have a podcast. He's too busy watching Premier League on Saturday morning.
Yes, I am, anything. Taylor.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, what would Buddy Hield, Wilbon's boy, do for the Warriors? You love Buddy Hield.
I do love Buddy Hield, Tony. And a rough outing for Naomi Osaka at Wimbledon today.
So this was great to have him because he knows soccer and he played soccer.
It's great to have him.
It's
great to have him.
There's authority to what he's saying.
Just offer the master class for the audience. Hope they're listening.
Yeah. Happy time, people. Happy 30th birthday, Chris Jones. Jones is the best defensive player on the best team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. Jones was a second-round pick in 2016 out of Mississippi State. He's gone to 5 Pro Bowls, twice been first-team All-Pro, thrice been second-team All-Pro. Jones had 10.5 sacks last season, but twice has had 15.5 sacks. This March, Jones agreed to a 5-year deal that includes $95 million guaranteed. That contract gave Jones the highest average annual salary ever for a defensive tackle.
I know the quarterback and tight end get all the glory on that team, but Chris Jones makes a whole lot of that possible with Super Bowls and counting.
Happy anniversary, Brad Stevens. On this day 11 years ago, in a surprise move, the Boston Celtics hired Stevens away from Butler University, made him an NBA head coach. In his first season, Stevens finished 25-57. But Stevens made the playoffs every succeeding season, including 3 trips to the Eastern Conference Finals, though none to the NBA Finals. 3 years ago, Stevens went up to the front office as GM, hired Ime Udoka to coach. Udoka made the NBA Finals in 2022, then was suspended for conduct unbecoming. Stevens picked assistant Joe Mazzulla to take over, and last month, Mazzulla guided the Celtics to their 18th NBA title.
Standing ovation to the Celtics senior management for having patience with Brad Stevens and seeing what roles, various roles, he could fulfill at the highest level. Kudos to them.
Happy trails, Buddy Hield. The Athletic reports that the Warriors are trying to acquire the shooting guard from the 76ers in a signing trade. Hield arrived from Philly from Indy last season with high hopes, but played just 51 minutes in a 6-game series loss to the Knicks. He did have 5 threes in the second quarter of the Knicks clincher, but also badly missed the shot that would have tied the game. Hield has been a 40% three-point shooter over his 8-season career. Might fill at least part of the void left by Klay Thompson's departure to Dallas.
Part, Tony, if they get him, but DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, and Hield together. I like that recovery for Golden State to keep them in some sort of competitive situation in that tough Western Conference.
Let's go to the big finish at Wimbledon. Your fave, unseeded Naomi Osaka, fell to 19 seed Emma Navarro. You disappointed?
Disappointed, Tony, but not surprised. That is not an upset for Navarro to win that match. It just isn't. Francis Tiafoe will meet Carlos Alcaraz in Wimbledon's third round. I bet you're excited for that.
I would remind people that Tiafoe beat Rafael Nadal. Big name guy, Rafael Nadal. Kemba Walker is retiring. How will you remember his career?
Well, he's a four-time All-Star, so he had a nice NBA career, but he won a national championship at UConn. I'm going to remember that more because I was there. Reese Hoskins of the Brewers drove in the run that beat the Rockies by getting hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. Your thoughts?
That's what you're supposed to do. Whatever you can to win, even if you stand in there and take one for the team.
Take one for the team.
Last one, Shota Imanaga had a 5.67 ERA in June. Back on track tonight?
I don't see it, Tony. The Cubs can't get back on the rails at all, and they have the Phillies and Zach Wheeler. I don't see it. Hoping, but don't see it.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. We are off until Monday, Knuckleheads. Have a happy 4th of July holiday. And now, your sports.
PTI. At Yankee Stadium. And a couple weeks later, he really started turning his season around. In the last 2 months, what we've seen from him has been historic. We're not being prisoners of the moment here. And I think that's best represented, El, through a statistic called OPS plus. It's his adjusted on-base plus slugging. Right now, it is a 221. The average is 100, meaning Aaron Judge is more than 2 times better than the average player in baseball right now. And in history, there's been only a handful of players to have a 221 OPS plus over the course of a full season. Barry Bonds did it from 2001 to 2004. Before that, the last players to do it were in 1957, Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle. Wow. And that is the sort of company Aaron Judge is keeping.
Yeah, I've heard of those names. By the way, we've got to stop enabling horrible behavior. It's like, I feel like every time you join us, Jeff, it's like, Vinny got booed, and all of a sudden, he's playing so much better. Not to be outdone, Judge's National League counterpart staying hot as well last night. Of course, I'm mentioning Shohei Ohtani hits a go-ahead home run in the 7th inning last night, helps lead the Dodgers to a 6-5 win over the D-backs. Ohtani's 27 home runs leads the National League, and his 12 home runs since June 11th are 3 more than anyone else in baseball. Ohtani now a heavy favorite to win the National League MVP at minus 225. That's at least according to ESPN Bet. So Jeff, Ohtani's already accomplished a ton in his career. How can he make even more history in 2024?
Well, El, he's got 2 MVPs already, but those MVPs came in seasons when he was designated hitter and a starting pitcher. A full-time DH has never won an MVP award in baseball, and Shohei Ohtani looks primed to do it at this point. You know, Mookie Betts got off to a little hotter start than him, and Bryce Harper, before his injury, was having a great first half. Ohtani, every single day is out there. Every single day is producing. There is power. There is average, hitting 320 plus at this point. He gets on base, and the scary part is to understand he's rehabbing his elbow from reconstructive surgery while doing all of this, which means that next season we're going to see this bat again, and we're also going to see Shohei Ohtani back on the mound doing the sort of thing that we haven't seen, El, in more than a century.
Yeah, an absolute embarrassment of riches. Ohtani and the Dodgers, by the way, are back in action tonight at home against Arizona. Jeff Passan never needs to be booed to show up and do his job, but I'll do it anyway. Boo. Thanks, Jeff. All right, you take a look here at Judge and Ohtani, and they're both having career seasons. You put them both on Triple Crown watch as well. Ohtani, as I said, leads the NL in average and home runs, and is third in RBI, 4 shy of the league leader. Aaron Judge leads MLB in all 3 categories. It'd be the second time that there was a Triple Crown winner in both the leagues, along with the 1933 season. More history. Mike and Tony with more in our PTI topic.